Hello, Internet. It's time to read the Bible. Uh, Grandma's not home yet, but she should be home later today. So, good going. And I'm kind of running out of voices ideas. So, if you have any suggestions, put it down in the comments. I got maybe two or three more. Here's one. It's a little bit of a stretch. I imagine this movie wasn't super popular, but maybe you'll recognize the voice. You must love the Lord your God and obey every one of his commands. Listen, I am not talking now to your children who have never experienced the Lord's punishments or seen his greatness and his awesome power. They weren't there to see the miracles he did in Egypt as Pharaoh and all his land. They didn't see what God did to the armies of Egypt and to their horses and chariots, how how he drowned them in the Red Sea as they were chasing you, and how the Lord has kept them powerless against you until this very day. They didn't see how the Lord cared for you, and again through all the years you were wandering in the wilderness until you arrived here. They weren't there when Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the descendants of Reuben, sinned, and the earth opened up and swallowed them, with their households and tents and all their belongings. As Israel watched. But you have seen these mighty miracles. How carefully then you should obey these commandments. I am going to offer, excuse me, you should obey these commandments I am going to give you today, so that you may have the strength to go in and possess the land you are about to enter. If you obey the commandments, you will have a long and good life in the land the Lord promised to your ancestors, and to you their descendants, a wonderful land flowing with milk and honey. For the land you are about to enter and possess is not like the land of Egypt, where you have come from, where irrigation is necessary. It is a land of hills and valleys, with plenty of rain, a land that the Lord your God personally cares for. His eyes are always upon it, day after day, throughout the year. And if you will carefully obey all of his commandments that I am going to give you today, and if you will love the Lord your God with all your hearts and souls, and will worship him, then he will continue to send both the early and the late rains that would produce wonderful crops of grain and grapes for your wine and olive oil. He will give you lush pasture land for your cattle to graze in, and you yourselves shall have plenty to eat and be fully content. But beware that your hearts do not turn from God to worship other gods, For if you do, the anger of the Lord will be hot against you, and he will shut the heavens. There will be no rain and no harvest, and you will quickly perish from the good land the Lord has given you. So keep these commandments carefully in mind. Tie them to your hand to remind you to obey them, and tie them to your forehead between your eyes. Teach them to your children. Talk about them when you are sitting at home, when you are out walking, at bedtime, and before breakfast. Write them upon the doors of your houses and upon your gates, so that as long as there is sky above the earth, you and your children will enjoy the good life awaiting you in the land the Lord has promised you. If you carefully obey all the commandments I give you, loving the Lord your God, walking in all his ways, and clinging to him, then the Lord will drive out all the nations in your land, no matter how great, no matter how much greater and stronger than you they might be. Wherever you go, the land is yours. Your frontiers will stretch from the southern Negev to Lebanon, and from the Euphrates River to the Mediterranean Sea. No one will be able to stand against you, for the Lord your God will send fear and dread ahead of you wherever you go, just as he promised. I am giving you the choice today between God's blessing or God's curse. There will be blessing if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I am giving you today, and a curse if you refuse them and worship the gods of these other nations. When the Lord your God brings you into the land to possess it, a blessing shall be proclaimed from Mount Gerizim, and a curse from Mount Ebal. Gerizim and Ebal are mountains west of the Jordan River, where the Canaanites live. In the wasteland near Gilgal, where the oaks of Moreh are. For you are to cross the Jordan and live in the land the Lord is giving you, but you must obey all the laws I am giving you today. These are the laws you must obey when you arrive in the land which Jehovah, the God of your fathers, has given you forever. You must destroy all the heathen altars wherever you find them, high in the mountains, up in the hills, or under the trees. Break the altars, smash the obelisk, burn the shameful images, cut down the metal idols, and leave nothing even to remind you of them. You must not make sacrifices to your God just anywhere, as the heathen sacrifice to their gods. Rather, you must build a sanctuary for him at a place he himself will select as his home. There you shall bring to the Lord your burnt offerings and other sacrifices, your tithe, your offerings presented by gesture of waving before the altar, your offerings to fulfill your vows, your free will offerings, your offerings of the firstborn animals of your flocks and herds. There you and your families shall feast before the Lord your God, and shall rejoice in all he has done for you. You will no longer go your own way as you do now, everyone doing whatever he thinks is right. For these laws don't go into effect until you arrive in the place of rest the Lord will give to you. But when you cross the Jordan River and live in the promised land, and the Lord gives you rest and keeps you safe from all your enemies, then you must bring all your burnt sacrifices and other offerings to his sanctuary, the place he will choose as his home. You shall rejoice there before the Lord with your sons and daughters and servants, and remember to invite the Levites to feast with you, for they have no land of their own. You are not to sacrifice your burnt offerings just anywhere. You may only do so in the place the Lord will choose. He will pick a place in the territory allotted to one of the tribes. Only there may you offer your sacrifices and bring your offerings. However, the meat you eat may be butchered anywhere, just as you do now with gazelle and deer. Eat as much of this meat as you wish and as often as you are able to obtain it, because the Lord has prospered you. Those who are ceremonially defiled may eat it too. The only restriction is that you are not to eat the blood. Pour it out on the ground like water. But none of the offerings may be eaten at home, neither the tithe of your grain, and new wine, and olive oil, nor the firstborn of your flocks and herds, nor anything you have vowed to give the Lord, nor your free will offerings, nor the offerings to be presented to the Lord by waving them before his altar. All these must be brought to the central altar where you, your children, and the Levites shall eat them before the Lord your God. He will tell you where this altar must be located. Rejoice before the Lord your God in everything you do. By the way, be very careful not to forget about the Levites. Share with them. If when the Lord enlarges your borders, the central altar is too far away from you, then your flocks and herds may be butchered on your own farms, just as you do now with gazelle and deer, and even the persons who are ceremonially defiled may eat them. The only restriction is to never eat the blood, for the blood is the life, and you shall not eat the life with the meat. Instead, pour the blood out upon the earth. If you do, all will be well with you and your children. Only your gifts to the Lord and the offerings you have promised in your vows and your burnt offerings need be taken to the central altar. These may only be sacrificed upon the altar of the Lord your God. The blood will be poured out upon the altar, and you will eat the meat. Be careful to obey all of these commandments. If you do what is right in the eyes of the Lord your God, all will go well with you and your children forever. When he destroys the nations in the land where you live. Don't follow their example in worshipping their gods. Do not ask, how do these nations worship their gods, and then go and worship as they do. You must not insult the Lord your God like that. These nations have done terrible, horrible things that he hates, all in the name of their religion. They have even roasted their sons and daughters in front of their gods. Obey all the commandments I give you. Do not add to or subtract from them. That, for those curious, is Mac from the movie Cats Don't Dance. And I will stop now because he takes a long time to say words, and I have to go to work soon. So we're going to just speed it up with like a general accent. What have I not done in a minute? We'll just do normal speaking voice the rest. We'll do it at like 1.5 speed. Luke chapter 8, verse 22 through 40. One day, about that time, as Jesus and his disciples were out in the boat, he suggested that they cross to the other side of the lake. On the way across, he lay down for a nap, and while he was sleeping, the wind began to rise. A fierce storm developed that threatened to swamp them, and they were in real danger. They rushed over and woke him up. Master, Master, we are sinking, they screamed. So he spoke to the storm. Quiet down, he said, and the wind and waves subsided, and all was calm. Then he asked them, Where is your faith? And they were filled with awe and fear of him, and said to one another, Who is this man that even the winds and waves obey him? So they arrived at the other side in the Gerasene country, across the lake from Galilee. As he was climbing out of the boat, a man from the city of Gadara came to meet him, a man who had been demon-possessed for a long time. Homeless and naked, he lived in a cemetery among the tombs. As soon as he saw Jesus, he shrieked and fell to the ground before him, screaming, What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of God Most High? Please, I beg you, don't torment me. For Jesus was already commanding the demon to leave him. This demon had often taken control of the man, so that even when shackled with chains, he simply broke them and rushed out into the desert, completely under the demon's power. What is your name? Jesus asked the demon. Legion, they replied, for the man was filled with thousands of them. They kept begging Jesus not to order them into the bottomless pit. A herd of pigs was feeding on the mountainside nearby, and the demons pled with him to let them enter into the pigs. And Jesus said they could. So they left the man and went into the pigs, and immediately the whole herd rushed down the mountainside and fell over a cliff into the lake below, where they drowned. The herdsmen rushed away to the nearby city, spreading the news as they ran. Soon a crowd came out to see for themselves what had happened, and saw the man who had been demon-possessed sitting quietly at Jesus' feet, clothed and sane. And the whole crowd was badly frightened. Then those who had seen it happen told how the demon-possessed man had been healed, and everyone begged Jesus to go away and leave them alone, for a deep wave of fear had swept over them. So he returned to the boat and left, crossing back to the other side of the lake. The man who had been demon-possessed begged to go too, but Jesus said, Go back to your family, he told him, and tell them what a wonderful thing God has done for you. So he went all throughout the city, telling everyone about Jesus' mighty miracle. On the other side of the lake, the crowds received him with open arms, for they had been waiting for him. One thing I just thought of just now, it's kind of weird. Jesus showed mercy to the demons. Like, they were begging him not to send them to the bottomless pit, and he didn't. He used them to kill a bunch of pigs, which Israelites aren't even supposed to eat to begin with. So, two birds, one stone kind of thing. But, it's kind of weird. So, they killed the pigs, and then I assume they left the pigs, and they went and fluttered around to do other nasty things. But, that's kind of a weird. And also, what's with that town? Jesus
showed his power over demons and healed a man with superhuman strength, and they're like, nope, no more of that. Get out. We don't want that around here. That's too weird for me. So just it's a weird tale to me now that I actually think about it. But anyway, moving on to Psalms chapter 70, verses 1 through 5. Rescue me, O God. Lord, hurry to my aid. They are after my life and delight in hurting me. Confuse them, shame them, stop them. Don't let them keep on mocking me, but fill the followers of God with joy. Let those who love your salvation exclaim, what a wonderful God he is! But I am in deep trouble. Rush to my aid, for only you can help save me. O Lord, don't delay. Short. And finally, we have Proverbs chapter 12, verse 4. A worthy wife is her husband's joy and crown. The other kind corrodes his strength and tears down everything he does. Ain't it the truth? uh, Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and as always, God bless.